It's time to talk about me being back at work after being out for 4.5 years. Let's talk about it. Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel, or if you're new to my channel, my name's Alexandra, and in today's video, I am here to tell you guys me going back to work after being not a worker for 4.5 years. So basically, for those of you who are new and don't know, I just started going back to work this week after being out for 4.5 years. And the reason why I just started going back to work, mainly I'm just giving you guys a little rundown before I tell you guys how work actually went for me this week. So the reasons why I had to go back to work was because, unfortunately, my income I was getting for the last few years was gonna go away. I got married about a month and a half ago, and after I got married, I was told there was a 50-50 chance of me either keeping my income or losing part of my income. And unfortunately, it came down to me losing part of my income. I'm still getting half of what I had before, but the other half is completely gone. And I knew when that happened that I knew I couldn't just live off of what I was, going to be making at that point. So I ended up just saying, well, I got to find a job. I can't survive on what I just make. I was used to my husband's work for so long, and he's been with his job for such a long time that we couldn't just survive on his job. It wouldn't be fair. But fast forward to now me working, it was actually a pretty well week. The first day, I'm not gonna lie, I did feel anxious and I did feel a little sad. In my head, I felt the emotions of sad, but in my heart, I knew this was the right thing for me, and I knew this was best for my family, and I just knew this had to happen. And to be completely honest, like I said, it was a pretty well week. I would say I actually am starting to like it. I don't know if I've ever actually, to be honest, ever said much about me not liking a job, but so far, this job is pretty good. So overall, I would say that if anyone's looking for just something that you don't want to do, sorry, I was eating Doritos. That's why my fingers probably, you're wondering why I'm licking my fingers. I'm eating some nacho cheese Doritos. But honestly, if anyone had to tell me if I would stay with this job long term, I personally would tell you I'm willing to stay with this job as long as I can. I can't promise I'm going to be there, in a year, because I don't know what's going to happen in a year. My life is going to probably be different in a year. I could be still with this job, or I could be somewhere else. But my plan is, as of right now, I am planning on staying at this job, and fingers crossed that I am still there next year. That would be amazing and a wonderful thing for me, because if I make it to a year in this job, I will be completely honest, that would be such a huge accomplishment for me, because out of any job I've ever had in the past, I've never lasted more than a year. I actually didn't even last a year in any job I've ever had. My very first job, for instance, that I had when I was 20, I was about 20 years old when I got my first job, my first ever job. And I stopped working that job 10 days before my 1 year was up. And the only reason why I didn't make it to a year was due to the fact that I was going to college at the time, and my job was on campus, and in order for me to keep the job, I had to still be enrolled in college. But because I made the decision in the spring of 2019 that I didn't want to continue with school. I had to unfortunately say goodbye to that job. And over the last few years, I was, working different jobs there and there. Nothing, I'd say something I would say was perfect. Because honestly, I don't know anybody who's ever had a perfect job. I'm just putting that flat out. If you have a perfect job and you like it, then that's great. That's you. But for me personally, I never had a really perfect and good job, I guess. But this job I have currently, it is, I would say it is kind of physical, but, excuse me, but it's not like what I was used to in the past. So, like, the jobs I had in the past, I would be stocking things on shelves, I would be, talking, of course, that's the main thing with jobs, you gotta be very communicative, I feel like, or very communicative. You gotta really have a voice, because, you're talking with other people, and you gotta be on your best behavior. Just like when you're going to school, you gotta be on your best behavior for your teachers, because that's what they look for, is you paying attention and making sure you're following what they're teaching you and following, the rules and the guidelines, all that stuff. Same thing when it comes to work. You got to follow the rules of your job, because if you don't, then you're out of there. You're not in that job anymore. They'll most likely lose you, and you do not want that to happen. Because trust me, that would not be good at all. If you want that to happen, I'm just giving you the warning. Do not, repeat, do not have that happen. But that being said, I will be completely honest. Like I said, I am grateful that I got this job, because I didn't think it was gonna be something that I would be passionate about, because let me tell you, growing up, I took the school bus all the time for school. Maybe there and there I got rides to school, but mainly my main thing was taking the school bus. And, my job that I have now is actually making sure kids are safe and making sure that they get to school safe and coming back home safe. I'm a mom to a 4.5-year-old. Every day I always make sure, I hope that my son comes home safe and goes to school safe. I'm around kids that are a little bit older than him, so I still treat them like how I would treat my child. I would treat them all very respectfully, and also give them, making sure that they're not being disrespectful, because that's something, if I get my son tolerating me with disrespect, that won't work. No. I don't yell. I just give him a talk. I just say, can you please be more respectful and follow what we're telling you? Because, I know I'm a very good mom. And I want those other students to treat me like how they should respect anyone else they're around, with respect, kindness, and just, be good, That's all that matters. That's what I'm asking for. But in all honesty, like I said, this is the first job I've had in the last 4.5 years out in the real world. I've been a stay-at-home mom since the day I had my son. And when I knew I got hired for this job, I knew that this is it. Stay-at-home mom day is over. Yes, once I come home from work, my job is to continue being that mom for my son and making sure he gets everything he needs or wants, when he actually knows that I am there for him every step of it. And he knows, he's starting to understand a little bit that I'm going to work now. It was hard, I'm not gonna lie, because like I mentioned before, I was a bit anxious and I felt a little sad, because I've never been away from him for more than the period of time. My job is very flexible, and it's very they're very nice over there. I will admit, they are very understanding over there at my job. They know if there's a time or a day that I probably can't work, just let them know. I mean, some jobs probably would say, oh, okay, like, how long do you think you're going to be gone for? Things like that. But personally, I'm happy that I'm able to do this because it's just a big step for me. So anyways, you guys, if you want to hear more information about my job or anything else in the near future, please let me know down in the comments below. I would love to hear what you guys want to hear from me, some more information, and all that. But anyways, I'm gonna go. I'm home tomorrow. Tomorrow is the weekend, and I don't work Saturdays and Sundays. So tomorrow I am just happy to be off for a couple days, and then, you know, then go back to work on Monday. So stay tuned for more videos when I get the chance. Follow me on Instagram, Threads, and Snapchat. Always down in the description box below, or sometimes you'll see it at the end of this video, or any video in particular. Alright. Subscribe. Say subscribe to Mommy's channel. That's right, baby. That's right, love. Logan, say goodnight, YouTube. Logan, can you say goodnight, YouTube?
Good night, YouTube.
Well, from Logan and Alexandra, we appreciate you guys. Thanks for watching. Bye. Say bye-bye. Logan, bye-bye. Logie. Logie. Say bye. Good night, everybody.